Namaste. In this series, we'll be learning to test our Flutter application. In Flutter, there are generally three types of test. First, the unit test. We can test individual function or individual classes in unit testing. Next, the widget testing. In this, we test individual widgets by mocking its dependencies. And finally, the integration test. We test the whole app like it is being used by a user to confirm that everything is working and everything is in place. So this will be a three-part tutorial series, and in this part, we will learn unit testing. For testing, we require a dep dependency. So first thing you need to make sure is you have either Flutter test or test as your dep dependency in your project. Here, I have set up a simple project that reverses the string typed by the user. I'll be publishing this code in the GitHub so you can review it later. Here in the main.dart file, I have a simple home page. There I have a text field, an output field, and a reverse button. So whenever I type anything and press reverse, it reverses the string and prints out. And for reversing the string, here I have made a simple function, reverse string, so that takes the initial string, it splits it up, reverses it, and joins it to get a reverse of that string. So in this unit test, we will see how to test this reverse string function. So let us get started. Inside the test folder, let us create our test file. I name this reverse string unit test. Here I write a main function, okay, and in here I write test. So you have to import Flutter test, and title of our test is, let's say, string should be reversed, and the body will be, here we will test that our string gets reversed by the reverse string function. So string initial equals to hello. So let's reverse this string. Reversed equal to reverse string. We need to import that from main and pass in our initial string. Finally, we need to expect initial reverse should be equal to, so opposite of hello will be O-L-L-E-H. Okay, now you can directly run your test from here. Let us press run test. So here, let's see in the debug console. Let's see it here. Okay. So I'm getting some errors. Oh, okay, so it takes arguments. I need to remove this. This is not required. So let's run it again. Okay, finally. Actual expected. Oh, I put it 0. So this should be O-L-L-E-H. Run again. Okay, finally our test is passed. So string should be reversed. this is how we can simply do unit testing. We can test our classes and individual functions in unit testing. Welcome to part 2 of Flutter test tutorial series. In this part, we will learn to set up widget test. In the previous part, we learned how to do unit testing of our functions or classes. Now, to get started with widget test, let us create a new file inside our test folder. Let's say main widget test. In here, first import dart, rename dart. Now in here import Flutter test, and let's create our main function. In here we'll use test widgets function. Test widgets description is reverse string widget test, and the callback should be a async function that receives a parameter widget tester async. Okay, we'll use this tester and couple of other methods to test our widget test. Testing widgets, the very first thing we need to do is we need to tell which widget to test, and we do that by using await tester.pump widget, and the widget to test here is our my app widget. We need to import it from our main.dart file. First thing we'd like to do is we need to find this text field and confirm that it exists. So we do that by using find. So var field equal to find.by, let's find by type. Type should be text field, and for text field we need to import material. So by type means we can find widgets by any type. Finally, we need to confirm that this text field is found. We do that by using expect, and the actual is text field, and our matcher is finds one widget. So there are different kinds of matches provided here. So let us run this test. We can do run test from terminal by Flutter test, and individual file we can do main widget tester dart. Okay, all test passed. Now next thing we can do is we can enter a text in this text field. We do that by using enter text method from tester. Await tester dot enter text. So the finder is text field and the text is hello. Okay, now expect find.text. So we can find by text, and this should find one widget. So we should be able to find one widget with the text hello. Again, let us run this test. Okay, all tests passed, so this is also found. So we are successfully able to enter this text. Now we need to find this button and tap it. Var button, let us find by find, let us find text reverse, let us expect button finds one widget. So this should also be found, and finally okay, this should also find one widget, and finally we can tap the button. We do that by await tester dot tap button. We tap our button, and after we tap, we need to wait for execution of one frame. We do that by using tester dot form. Okay, one frame, and then finally we can expect to find the reverse. Expect find dot text. The reverse of hello will be OLLEH. So we need to find a widget with this text. Finds one widget. So this test should pass. Okay. Okay, all tests pass. So to look how it looks when test fails, let us say here finds nothing. So if we do finds nothing, this test should fail, and it should give us the reason why it failed. So okay, the test failed, and here if we go up, we can see that the following test failure object was thrown. Expected no matching nodes in the widget tree. Actually, one widget with text was found, so we're expecting that no widgets should be found with text this, but one was found. This is how it looks when the test fails, and we can see the detailed reason. So it is also giving us the widget that was found. So we found the widget, and we can see our styles that we have applied. This is how we can do widget testing. And when there are widgets that have external dependencies, we can mock those dependencies by using Mockito. We will learn that in further advanced tutorial. Welcome to part 3 of Flutter test tutorial series. In this part, we are going to run an integration test using Flutter driver in our app. Let us begin. To begin with integration testing using Flutter driver, first we need to add the Flutter driver dependency in our povspec.yaml file. So in povspec.yaml file, under dev dependencies, let us add Flutter driver SDK Flutter. And I found there are some duplicate declarations in Flutter driver and Flutter test. So instead of Flutter test, here I'll use test. Using test will not hamper our previous tests that uses Flutter tests. Now packages get has run, and we can successfully get the package. To place our test files in the root folder of your project, let us create a new folder called test driver. And inside test driver, let us make two files, app.test and app.test.dart, app.dart, not app.test. app.dart and app.test.dart. In app.dart, we need to tell which app to test, and we need to enable Flutter driver extension. To do that, first import Flutter driver extension, and next import our main file. So our package is Flutter reverse main.dart as app, and here we'll create a main function. Here first we'll enable Flutter driver extension. Next we'll call the main function from our main file, app.main. So this file, this is what we'll run with Flutter driver, and it will know which to test, and this will look for app_test to run tests. So in app_test, let us write our test. So first import Flutter driver, next import our package test.dart. Okay, now create a main function. Here let us create a group. Reverse the app test. First we need to create an instance of driver. So let us create Flutter driver, and in setup all function inside setup all function, this should be a async function. Here driver equals Flutter driver dot connect. So we need to await this. Next, in tear down all, if driver is not equal to null, then dot close. We close the driver. Now we need to find these elements in our app to run the test. So we already have done that in our test. If we see main widget test, we have a finder. So text field finder, let us paste it here. By type, this should be string. Next, we also have button. So our button is the one with the text this. Okay, so now we have our text field and button. We have those finders. Now let us test. Reverses the string. Sync function. In here we will run the test. So first we like to enter some text in this field, so await. For that we use driver dot enter text. Okay, before entering text, first we need to tap on this field. So what we need to do is await driver dot tap. So text field. So first we tap on the text field. Next, enter text. We enter text in the text field. Let's say hello. Now we tap the button. So await tap button. And next we need to find where reverse find dot text OLLEH. We need to find this as our reverse. So after we tap the button, we need to find. For that, what we can do is await driver dot wait for reverse, and next we confirm that there are no more callbacks. So driver dot and we assert reverse is not equal to null. That is, the reverse widget exists. First, here before we tap the button, we can await driver dot wait for absent reverse. So first it should be absent, then after we tap the button this should exist and there should be no more transient calls. Now we have written our test, and in order to run this test, what we can do is from our terminal we can run flutter drive and our target should be our app.dart file. So it is inside test.driver. Use this command, press enter. This requires an existing emulator or a device because it runs the APK on actual device. So let us see it executing in action. Okay, build, it is running. Okay, all test passed, so it was able to tap. So in order to see how it works, let's just say I'll await here. Future.delayed duration, let's say seconds 2. Let us delay 2 seconds so that we can see how it works. Let us run it again. This time we'll be able to see with a 2-second pause how it is running the test. It is building the application, running. Okay. It types 2 seconds, types hello, 2 seconds, press reverse, yes. Okay, so this is how it does. It runs like it is actually being used by a user. So this is how easy it is to run integration tests in our Flutter application, and this is the very basics. In the next episode we will continue and do some intermediate testing with unit tests. Welcome to part 4 of Flutter testing tutorial series. In this part we are again going to start with unit testing, but this time we are going to test a bit more complex class that is used to authenticate users with Firebase authentication. So this has external dependency that we will have to mock while testing. Here I have a very simple application that allows users to log in with their email and password, and it uses Firebase authentication to authenticate the users. In order to run this project, you'll need to create your own Firebase project, enable email and password based authentication method, and add your Google services.json to this project. So let us get started with testing. For unit testing, we'll not be going to see any outputs here in the emulator, so I'm going to close this or remove this from the screen for now. Let me make this large. Before we begin testing, the very first thing we'd like to make sure is that we have test dependencies. So under dev dependency, you should have Flutter test and SDK Flutter, this as your dependency. And we need to add few more things. So first, we will be mocking the external dependencies. So we would like to add Mockito, and I'd like to use version 4.1.1, which is the latest at the time of recording. And then another thing that I would like to add under dev dependencies is rx.dart. I'm using rx.dart in dev dependencies because I'm not actually using it in my app, but while testing Firebase authentication, I'd like to be able to use streams. So I'm using it in dev dependency. Mockito, Mockito. So let's get, so it's done. Now let us create our test. So inside test, create a folder called modal, and inside that folder let's create user repository test.dart. So in this test file, very first thing we'll do is we'll create our mock classes. So first, let us create mock classes that is required. So we'll require 3 mock classes. Class, so mock Firebase Auth, extends mock, implements Firebase Auth. Next, class mock user, extends mock, implements Firebase user. And next thing we'll require is, that is required by Firebase Auth, that is class mock auth result, extends mock, implements auth result. So these are the 3 mock classes that we'll be using. Let us set up our test. Main. Inside main, let us create instances. Mock Firebase Auth. So mock Firebase Auth. Then we'll create a stream of user. So behavior subject mock Firebase user mock Firebase user. Now let us create our test group. User repository test. So body. Inside this, let us instantiate our, so inside this we'll create our first test, that is test sign in email and password. This is a async function. In here we will run our test, and next test is sign out. So sign out. So before we write test, we need to create an instance of our user repository object class. Repository user repository dot instance. And if we see our user repository in instance, we have to pass auth. While making testable class, make sure that any external dependencies can be passed through parameters while instantiating the class. So here we can pass the auth so that we can pass a mock auth while testing. So here auth will be our underscore auth, that is our mock authentication. If we run this test now, we'll get an error instead of getting success. So we are running the test. Okay, so here we have a error. Here we can see the error is method listen was called on null. So if we see here, while instantiating the class, we have called auth.onAuthStateChange.listen. So in order to be able to do that, we need to mock this function. So how to do that is, here we'll use a when method. When method. So when underscore auth.onAuthStateChange. When this is called, then we'd like to answer. So we'd like to answer a stream. So our stream is user. Underscore user. So when onAuthStateChanged is called, we'd like to return our behavior subject. So now we can run our test again. So we can run test with from terminal Flutter test. Now the test should pass. Sorry, it's failing again. The method listen was called on null. So we need to write this method before this instantiation, because this method is called on this instantiation, so this has to be declared before this. Now we can run and successfully pass the test. Okay, all tests passed. Now we'll write our test. First, sign in, bool signed in is equal to report.signin. Email is, let's say, email, and password is password. So expect signed in true. Also expect report.status is authenticated. So whenever user provides email as email and password as password, user should be signed in and the status also should be authenticated. So if we see our sign in method here, it returns a bool whenever we successfully signed in, and inside this function auth.signin with email and password is called. So we need to mock this method. Before running this test, here let us mock this method. When auth.signin with email and password, email is email, password is called, then answer. So when this is called, we'd like to add a user in the stream. So underscore user dot add new mock Firebase user and return, we need to return auth result. So this function returns auth result, and this returns a future of auth result, so make this async. Here we have mocked the sign in with email and password method. So now if we run our test, we'll again should pass the test. Okay, all tests pass. Test, let us write new test. Sign in fails with incorrect password. So here async signed in is equal to await sign in, email is, let's say, mail, password is only pass. So this should fail. Expect signed in false, and also expect status is status dot unauthenticated. What we need to do is here when underscore auth dot sign in with email and password, email is mail and password is pass, then throw let's just throw and return null. With incorrect password, this test should pass. Finally, let us test the sign out. Await sign out. Here let's make this async, and when this is signed out, we need to expect status should be unauthenticated. Okay, so let us finally run our test. So when we run this test, it should pass. So all tests passed. Thank you everyone for watching this tutorial. In this tutorial, we saw how to mock external dependencies to test our classes. Welcome to part 5 of Flutter testing tutorial series. In this part, we are going to write widget test for our login page that uses Firebase authentication to login. Previously in the part 4, we tested our user repository that was used to authenticate user with Firebase Auth. Now we'll write a test for our login widget that uses the same user repository class to log in the user. In this session, we'll write an intermediate test to test a bit more complicated widget that has few external dependencies and quite a good function to authenticate a user. So let us get started. Very first thing, we'd like to continue from our previous project where we did user repository test, and in the test folder, let us replicate the folder structure in our leaf. So new folder UI, inside that pages, and in there let us create a new file login test.dart. Now I'd like to copy few things from here. So here we'll require mock auth and mock user, will not require mock auth result. So let me copy that and let me import those dependencies. Import package Firebase auth, import mockito. Let us write first, if we see our login page, it also requires user repository class. So we'll mock that too. Class mock user repository extends mock implements user repository. And if we see our user repository class, it has a instance method singleton. So we need to override this method in order to be able to pass our mock auth. Final mock Firebase auth, and here mock user repository this.auth. Okay, and as in user repository, we'll not be using on auth state changed here because we are just mocking this to test our login widget. So finally, we are ready to create our main function. Here, we'll again copy some of the things from here. That is mock Firebase auth, mock user. We'll copy this. And let us import this behavior subject rx.dart. Then let us create an instance of our mock user repository. Mock user repository underscore auth, underscore repo. Let us create an instance repo equals to mock user repository, and auth is our mock authentication. We need quite a few things here. First, we need to make our widget testable. If we see our main function, we have a material app and we have a auth homepage. And if we go to auth homepage, in main function, we are providing a change notifier provider and we are providing user repository instance. So in order to replicate that, we will make a function here that returns a widget and that makes the widget testable. Let us name it make testable, and it takes in widget to make testable. Let's name it child. And in order to use widget here, let's import material, and here let us return change notifier provider dot value. We are using dot value here because we have already instantiated our repo. So value will be our underscore repo and child will be material app and this will have a home of the past child. Okay, so this will make our widget testable by providing the user repository from a provider. If we see the login page here, we have some of the fields here. So we have a email field, then we have a password field, and we have a login sign in button. So we need a finder to find those. So var email field is equal to, there is a find keyword, so we use find keyword, and by find, let us import it, by key, and the key is email field. Next, field is equal to find by key, key is password field. Next, sign in button, so we'll use a text finder, find dot text sign in. Okay, now we have finders for our email field, password field, and sign in button. Let us make a group, login page test. Here, first test we'll write is test widget. So we'll use test widget, not test this time, because we are testing widget. Test we'll write here is, we'll validate that these fields are found. Email, password, and button are found. Here we'll get an instance of widget tester. Let us make this async. Inside widget testing, very first thing we need to do is we need to tell which widget to test. So we know we'd like to test our login page. So await tester.pump login page. Sorry, pump widget, not pump. Pump widget login page. However, we know that login page has a dependency, that is user repository, which is provided by the provider. So here we'll use our above function that we created, make testable function. Make testable login page. Next, expect email field. So there are matches for widget testing. So email field should find one widget. So finds one widget. Next, expect password field finds one widget. Next, expect sign in button finds one widget. Finally, we are able to run this test ./test UI pages login tester dot. Test failed. Let us see why is it failing. It is not found. Let us see from the beginning what is wrong. Could not find the correct provider user repository above the login page widget. We have provided the mock user repository. We have made it testable with make testable. Change notifier provider, and value is our underscore repo. So change notifier provider, we need to pass type here user repository. Without that, it will provide mock user repository as the type. So instead of mock user repository, we'd like to pass user repository here. Now let us run the test. Okay, all tests are passed. Next, we'll run next test, that is validates test widget validates empty email and password. So whenever user presses sign in button without providing any email and password, it should validate. First, again, await. Let us make this async. Await. Let's just replicate this line and copy paste here. And here should be widget tester. And next we'll do is we'll tap the sign in button. We can do that by await tester.tap, and here we pass sign in button. So this should tap the sign in button, and let's await for one frame to complete by using tester.pump. Now we should expect find.text please. So it should validate. If we see here in our validate function, let's see. So in our validate function, it will return please enter email and please enter password if not validated. So this should be found. So find this finds one widget. Next, find the text password finds one widget. This should find those validations. Okay, so validates empty email and password. Success. Finally, we should test that user will be able to sign in by providing email and password. So test widgets So back in unit testing, we have already tested that our user repository can sign in user when sign in with email and when sign in function is called. So in this widget, we'll only test that when user provides email and password and taps the sign in button, the sign in method from user repository is called. So here, widget tester, again, we'll copy this line. Next, we'd like to enter some email and password. So we do that by using tester.intertext. So await tester.intertext, and I'll find the first email field, and our text should be test@testmail.com, let's say. So next, again, intertext in password field, just enter password. Next, we tap the sign in button. Await tap sign in button, and like before, we await one frame by using tester.pump. Finally, we verify that repo.signin is called with email test@testmail.com and password. Verify that this is called once. Okay, so this should verify that correct method is called and it is called only once. So let us now run this test. Okay, it fails. Boolean expression must not be null. This is coming from our sign in method because this should return future, and login page validates that it returns a Boolean value. So what we do here is we mock our sign-in method from user repository. In this group, let us write when report.signin is called with testmail.com and password, then answer async this return true. Okay, so mock this, and now if we run this test, it should pass. Okay, so our login test is passed. So now if we run this Flutter test, all our tests should run and pass, both the user repository test and login test. So all tests passed. There were 6 tests. Thank you everyone for watching this tutorial. In this part, we learned to test our widgets that have external dependencies and that can contain lots of other widgets. We can enter text, we can tap a button. So this is widget testing. In the next episode, we'll be using Flutter driver and running integration test in this very project. Welcome to part 6 of Flutter testing tutorial series. In this part, we are going to write an integration test and test our Flutter app. We have already created unit tests and widget tests for this app for our login widget. So we can see this app. This app uses email and password and logs in user using Firebase Auth. If user name and password is correct, signs in the user and texts them to user info page. If they enter incorrect email and password, they get an error message in a snack bar. So we are going to test this with Flutter driver. First, we add the Flutter driver dependency in our dev dependencies. So Flutter driver SDK Flutter. Okay, and with Flutter driver, I'd like to use test instead of Flutter test because they have some repeating functionalities. Next, in order to test our app, we need to create few things. First, create a folder named test driver. In here, let us create app.dart that tells which app to test. Let me just exit this for now. Okay, it has completed. Now I can import Flutter driver extension and import our main file. Import package Flutter auth main.dart as app. Now here we'll create a main function and enable Flutter driver extension and called app.main. We have already done this in basic testing with Flutter driver. So if you are confused, get back there. And next we'll create app_test.dart file. Again, in here we'll do some certain settings, so which we have already done in basic integrated testing. So void main group description should be Flutter auth app test. Let's make a body. Okay, inside this we will need certain finders. So final email field is find.by value key email field. password field, value key, password field, sign in button, find the text, sign in, user info page, by type, user info page, snack bar, snack bar. So we'll use these finders to test. Let us set up Flutter driver. Connect. Next. Tear down all. Driver is not is equal to null. Driver dot close. Finally, we are ready to begin writing our test. First test is fails login. So test fails login fails with incorrect email and password. And provides a snack bar feedback. So async function. First, when the app is run, we'll tap email field. Await driver.tap email field. So when we tap the email field, we like to enter text inside email field, testmail.com, and again await dot tap the password field, then enter text in the password field. Let us just enter test as the password, which is incorrect password. Await. Now tap the sign in button. Finally, await driver dot wait for snack bar. So when we tap the sign in button, we should receive a snack bar. So we need to wait for a snack bar and assert snack bar is not equal to null. Wait until no transient callback. So there are no more callbacks, and await user info page is null. So user info page should be null because it should not redirect. This is assert. And let us write another test and we will run it simultaneously. So test logs in with correct email and password. Then we'll repeat these things until this. So let me paste it here, and instead of incorrect password, let us use test1, which is the correct password. And finally await. This time we will wait for user info page assert user info page is not equal to null, and finally wait until no transient callbacks. Okay, so we have written our test. Now we would like to run this test. We can do that simply by using Flutter drive command and provide our target app.dart. So if we do this, this should run the test in our emulator, and we should be able to see it running and doing the test by entering the emails and passwords. So it is building the application. Once it is done building it, it will run and test. Listening, it's running, entering the password, wrong, correct. Okay, so our test has successfully passed. All tests have been passed. Thank you everyone for watching this tutorial.